Hello. Thank you to my friend and your president, Jose Manuel Pacheco, for the kind invitation to join members and distinguished guests at this important conference at the Câmara dos Despachantes Oficiais de Angola. As you can tell, after all these years of knowing you and enjoying your company in many places around the world, I still can't speak Portuguese. I bring warm greetings from your IFCBA friends and colleagues from around the world and my best personal wishes from my home in Canada. My first trip to Angola was 7 years ago when more than 200 customs brokers from across Angola gathered together in Luanda on July 15th, 16th, 2015 to mark the first national conference of the CDOA. Pedro da Costa Bekenge opened the conference and encouraged delegates to take advantage of the opportunities offered by the event, which featured many high-caliber speakers. I was fortunate to be with you in person for that landmark event, and I'm delighted to join you virtually today, 7 years later. CDOA is a longtime member of the IFCBA, and we've always valued the leadership of your directors and members in bringing insights from customs brokers in Africa to our organization. We appreciate your many years of support, although the global pandemic means we've missed enjoying the warm personal friendship of the large delegations from Angola which always attended our global conferences. Let me start with a couple of words about the IFCBA itself. We are the global organization representing customs brokers with members in every region of the world. Our objectives have not changed since our first meeting more than 30 years ago, and they're as relevant today as they were then. They are to encourage and facilitate cooperation amongst national customs broker organizations at the international level, to facilitate the exchange of information and ideas on matters affecting national customs broker associations, to associate, affiliate, and federate with any other association, society, or organization, incorporated or unincorporated, that has objectives the same as or similar to those of the IFCBA, to promote the recognition of the integral role played by customs brokers in global trade, and finally, to support the development of a global training network for customs brokers. We call the IFCBA the World Customs Brokers Association, and we have an especially close relationship with the World Customs Organization. We have observer status, a memorandum of understanding, and we've been a member of the WCO's private sector consultative group since it was founded, and in fact I chaired the PSCG for 6 years. I've been asked to speak today about the role of international organizations under the umbrella of the panel on the impact of collaboration between economic agents in international trade, results, and perspectives. Collaboration is a word I use a lot. It implies so much: a foundation of respect and trust, shared objectives, agreement on what defines success, relationship building. I could go on. This subject is a great fit for me and one I care about very much. Knowing I was going to be speaking with you today, I revisited the themes we focused on 7 years ago. I spoke then about customs brokers and SMEs in the growth of the world economy. I expanded on the critical roles played by national customs brokers associations in providing value to members, their clients, as well as to government. Associations represent the interests of their members and their members' clients to government, but they also can play a critical role in developing the knowledge and expertise of their members by providing education and professional development programs. SMEs in particular rely on the expertise of customs brokers. We all recognize that a knowledgeable, professional customs broker is critical to the development of SMEs as the driver of a country's economic growth. Your connection to the IFCBA as the international organization representing customs brokers strengthens the resources you have as you interact with customs, customers, and collaborators. When I was last with you, everyone was excited about the possibilities of the World Trade Organization's Agreement on Trade Facilitation and its anticipated impact for Angola generally and customs brokers specifically. The potential of a National Committee on Trade Facilitation as the key forum for discussing international trade matters going forward held great promise, and I see that has been established. So here we are 7 years later. I believe that international organizations and the opportunity they provide for collaboration between economic agents are more important than ever. Indeed, I would argue that the global pandemic of COVID-19 has provided international organizations with unprecedented challenges and opportunities, not only to exercise leadership individually, but to work together in collaboration. So how can we grasp how important international organizations are to collaboration between economic agents in international trade? As customs brokers, our business is customs and border management, and we deal extensively with customs administrations and with the World Customs Organization. We're also very much impacted by the work of the World Trade Organization, or WTO. Where would we be without the standardization and harmonization between countries on things like the harmonized system of tariff classification or rules of valuation? In spite of best efforts at trade facilitation, trade requirements are still complex, and they extend beyond customs administrations. It's commonly said that it isn't customs requirements that delay the movement of goods across borders anymore. It's the requirements and processes of other government agencies to control goods. We understand that the mandate of national governments is to manage border requirements in the interests of its citizens and economic prosperity. It is more possible and more effective to do this with a connection to international organizations and the standards they develop and promote globally. Let me use an example from our recent experience with the COVID-19 pandemic. The economic impact of the pandemic on businesses and people has been enormous, with considerable disruption of global supply chains. The huge task of reconstruction and recovery cannot be undertaken by any country, any organization, or any business in isolation. Collaboration is essential. But where to start? Can we count on economic agents to be resilient? Resilience seems simple. You stretch a rubber band and it returns to where it was. The usual idea of resilience is about snapping back quickly. The thing is, perhaps we no longer want that kind of resilience that just brings us back to our starting point. That is where we were, and that is where national interests may not have been aligned, and international organizations may not have met their potential for simplification, standardization, and harmonization. We want and need resilience that gives us confidence and inspires us to go beyond, to keep moving forward. Capacity building is a key part of that, funded and led by international organizations. In many instances and in many countries, the pandemic has shown what is possible, with the best parts of international collaboration and goodwill, motivating us to go beyond where we've already been and wanting to do better post-recovery. We just need to get there. So let's talk about the timing of this collaboration and the need for leadership. We need to start today to manage the priorities for the way forward. In a way, agreement on the need for change and the priorities for change may be the easy part. What is more difficult is developing concrete action plans with fixed deadlines and getting to work. Today, not tomorrow. There's also the reality that perhaps there are problems with this pandemic for which customs, nationally or globally, has no solutions. Let me give you an example. We have inflation increasing in most countries of the world with fears of a global recession. Initially, the pandemic affected air carriers. With passenger aircraft grounded, the capacity for cargo space diminished dramatically, almost overnight. Now we have global concerns in the marine mode, everything from a shortage of available containers, congestion in ports, shortage of truck drivers and laborers on the docks. All of this is interconnected with a grim prognosis: rising freight rates and prices of everything else, including food and shortages of consumer goods. Can international organizations lead the way, working together to find remedies across borders? As business, we're familiar with financial crises. We plan as much as we can for them, and they still have deep and damaging impacts. Think of the 2008 global financial crisis when things fell apart so quickly and global recovery was so difficult. With the pandemic, the financial crisis has been accompanied by a medical crisis, and we've struggled as citizens and as governments to understand what we need to do and then get it done. Having said that about resilience in international organizations in both the public and the private sectors, I do have to say something about people. People are one of Angola's strengths, and the pandemic has affected people. National governments and international organizations have had specific challenges related to people. At its heart, I believe collaboration is based on people, especially their willingness to build trust. I spoke to this theme at the WCO AEO Global Conference earlier this year, and I said building trust takes time, mutual respect, and a lot of listening. Instead of imposing requirements, the priority should be to meet others where they are and make every effort to understand their concerns. So how do these three elements of trust I just mentioned fit in with our theme of international organizations and their role in collaboration? First, time. Time is something that no one seems to have enough of, especially now, but building trust can't be rushed. That's because there's a lot to learn from each other. We have to make time. Second, mutual respect. The more people in organizations and between organizations learn about each other, the more respect they have for each other. What is the common ground? Sustained national prosperity seems obvious. Commitments to developing and effectively implementing standards are important. Harmonization across borders is beneficial. Capacity building is essential. Finally, the third element of trust, a lot of listening on both sides. There should be every effort to find the right mechanism to understand concerns and benefit from good practices on the part of both business and customs and with international organizations. Work together. Be flexible if we need to bring others into the conversation. With the foundation of trust, mutual respect, and a lot of listening comes results to improve collaboration between economic actors even after a pandemic. So resilience, trust, and capacity building, these are all keys to successful collaboration. Technology has allowed me to share these thoughts with you today, but it's no substitute for being able to listen and learn from each other and engage in a dynamic conversation about this important topic. There are certainly different approaches to thinking about the role of international organizations in our world and their contribution to collaboration. If you want an example, Google Green Customs WCO to see the range of priorities in international organizations with a vested interest in those priorities and how they interact with the WCO. Then take a look at the list of Memoranda of Understanding and cooperation agreements that the WCO has signed, page after page, and yes, the IFCBA is there. Collaboration is not only the foundation, it is the way forward. Thank you so much again for the invitation to share my thoughts on the role of international organizations and the need for collaboration. Special good wishes to my friends from CDOA, and watch for upcoming news about our next IFCBA meeting, hopefully in person and in Singapore. I wish you all a very good rest of the conference and every success in the weeks and months ahead. Obrigada.